Need an ambulance? Between COVID and understaffing, you might be waiting longer than paramedics would like. A Blenheim barber has been handpicked to be showcased on a TV series highlighting not just the barber, but his town. Consider it a shortcut to some global attention. A live look outside. We had another beauty day today, but our sunny streak might soon be over. We've got some stormy weather that could be on the way tomorrow. Nick Cirkovich will be here later in the program with your full weather forecast. Good evening. I'm Katerina Georgieva. Thanks for watching. Getting an ambulance to come to you quickly is more difficult this year compared to years past. In the next hour, a report will be coming before County Council that shows Essex Windsor EMS is falling short of its targets when it comes to response times. Jacob Barker has been looking into this and how our region is not alone when it comes to the issue. Jacob, you've read through this report. So what's going on here?
Well, Katerina, across the board, the emergency response is missing these targets. Take a look. When it comes to sudden cardiac arrest, care is supposed to arrive in 6 minutes, 55% of the time. This year, they missed that target by 5%. In situations which require resuscitation, like when a patient is non-responsive or their vital signs are absent, the target is to be there within 8 minutes, 75% of the time. Right now, that's down by 7%. And as you can see, as you go down the list of priorities, EMS is missing targets across the board. And for the most part, in prior years, even 2020, they have met those targets. I spoke with Bill Crowder, the chief of EMS services here, who says it's COVID-19 that has exacerbated the situation.
COVID and the collateral damage of COVID that has had within the entire healthcare system, where hospital capacities are high. Our offload delays right now from May, when the community started to open up from lockdown, and where hospitals started to open up services, whether it be surgeries, whether it be healthcare checks or assessments, have gone through the roof.
So offload delays are when patients are waiting to be received from hospital staff. Ambulances that bring patients in can't leave until they are. And in recent stories, we have told you that has led to code black situations where there have been no ambulances available to respond to an emergency. Another recent report to council shows the number of hours spent offloading is up nearly 18% from last year.
Jacob, what are other areas seeing when it comes to emergency situations?
Yeah, well, I found out that our region definitely is not alone. This is a big challenge in services right across the country. And while response times close to the big centers are off, when it comes to rural areas, the gap is even larger. In Windsor, Essex, and other big cities and towns, there are lots of ambulances close to the hospitals, but in rural areas, it's not always the case. And that means delays can be even longer. COVID is everywhere, and it's been felt by many EMS stations, including a small rural town in BC.
At this point, with the world we're living in, if they can tread water on response times, that might be considered a success with some of the things that we're dealing with actual shortage of workers on these jobs. But I mean, it all comes down to where are you living? What risks are you at? What does that response time mean in actual care?
One other big contributor to these delays, the chief says, is staffing, which is a problem across the healthcare system. And whether the shortage is in the hospital or on the ambulance, all of that can slow down the process for an ambulance getting back out to respond to an emergency.
Thanks for this, Jacob. The CBC's Jacob Barker live tonight. If you've taken a drive around the city recently, you've likely noticed a black spray-painted face across buildings, signs, and homes. We first brought you this story yesterday. Now, police are actively investigating the situation. Today, we spoke with more residents and business owners, many of whom are still dealing with the cleanup. CBC's Jen LaGrassa has more.
Vandalism like this one beside me have popped up across the city, specifically in Ford City area and downtown Windsor. And all of them have the same face and the same 4 letters, K-U-R-S. Now, residents are very frustrated with the tagging, but Windsor police say a lot of the incidents have gone unreported. Many I've spoken with say they are looking at their surveillance cameras and want the person who did this to face consequences. They worry that this will taint Ford City's image, one the community has worked hard to restore.
I don't think anybody in this city can deny the transformation that's happening on Drouillard Road. So to see somebody come in and do this much prolific tagging and absolutely zero talent to go along with and kind of confiscate what they think is their own whiteboards for doing as they please, it's just absolutely so infuriating. I can't think of a better word other than infuriating.
It's really frustrating to see so many people in the neighborhood put so much work into their properties, and like there's new houses being built, there's new businesses going up, and to see someone just not care, like just to blatantly disregard all the work that's going ahead just to tag these buildings. Ford City would appreciate a nice piece, but not what we've been seeing. Thankfully, this block was okay, but that's for now.
One business owner who got tagged on the side of her building says she's disappointed and that the cleanup will take time out of her day.
It kind of seems violating, just because we put a lot of effort into our the inside of our building too, to make it respectable, and then we get like things like this happening, so it's kind of upsetting.
Depending on what material the vandalizer sprayed, people could be looking at hundreds to thousands of dollars worth of cleanup. Windsor police say to discourage vandalism on your property, owners can add lighting and surveillance cameras, as well as signs to say that surveillance cameras are in place. Police say the more that people report these incidents, the more that they can really look into and investigate this, as well as lay charges if a suspect is found. They say that if you have any video or have any information, to reach out to them. Jennifer LaGrassa, CBC News, Windsor.
After much contention and controversy, Amherstburg's new school has officially been named. It will be called North Star High School. There was controversy around it. Some people wanted the word Amherstburg included in the name. Others opposed that, feeling that would be inappropriate. That's because General Jeffrey Amherst advocated for using blankets to transmit smallpox to Indigenous people in the 1700s. We heard from one person on the naming committee who says her main priority was keeping General Amherst out of the title.
I think with that name, majority of the people just wanted that town pride, having the school named after the town, but not understanding, again, the significance of the name and why the town was named that in the very beginning. So I think this whole situation has brought a lot of light to that and the history of General Amherst in this area, which I think was very important that the community understood that, and why I felt so strongly about the fact that that name doesn't need to be celebrated, and we don't need to put that name on a brand new building in a new location. And it wasn't a matter of being ashamed of the name or being ashamed of the town, but understanding what it meant and why we need to move forward from it.
The health of Windsor's local democracy is poor. That's according to a new report that looked at 32 municipalities across Ontario from the group Unlock Democracy. They looked at factors like voter turnout, gender balance on council, and racial diversity. Windsor ranked 30th, largely because city council is composed almost entirely of white men.
We don't see this as a criticism. We see it as just like a bit of a wake-up call. It's like having a dashboard on your car with the blinking light, your engine's overheating, your tires are low. It just means you've got some work to do. You've got some things to look at. And we're really excited to see which cities next year we can say are the most improved over 2021. And Windsor's in a really great position to be one of the most improved because they're starting off with a really low batting average.
Chatham-Kent scored the 7th highest, thanks in part to relatively high voter turnout and decent gender balance on council. And London was the top city in southwestern Ontario in 4th place. all workers at local Ford engine plants need to get vaccinated against COVID-19 or face consequences that could include termination. That's according to the union representing employees. The president saying that the company has issued a mandate for Canadian workers. He says he believes the mandate should be more flexible and he doesn't want anyone losing their jobs over it. He went to the floor today to speak with workers who are worried.
You got to remember, these people are going to lose their livelihoods. They have families to feed, and I don't want to see that happen. And when you talk to the workers, they love the company. They love working for the company. And it's disheartening to see this happening to them. And I wanted to just let them know that you're not forgotten. We are going to do what we can to make sure you don't lose your jobs, and we'll continue to fight for you.
Dagnolo says he does not know what percentage of workers are vaccinated or not, but he says the deadline to do so is early January. He's written a letter to the company expressing his concerns, and he wants unvaccinated workers to be accommodated somehow. He's still waiting to hear back from the company. CBC also reached out to Ford today, but has not yet heard back. The local health unit says the fourth wave of COVID-19 continues to wane in the region. There remain 211 active cases in Windsor, Essex, and 18 people are currently in hospital. The acting medical officer of health says the burden of the disease has been lower in the past few weeks, but he pointed to two areas of concern. And he says we still have lots of young people being dismissed from schools related to COVID-19, and we still have a large group of people that have yet not been vaccinated. Proof of vaccination is a fact of life in several provinces. It's needed for everything from workplaces to sporting events. But there are concerns about how easy it can be to fake that proof. Thomas Daglett tells us about a recent case that highlights the issue.
The San Jose Sharks hitting the ice in Montreal without their Canadian-born forward Evander Kane, suspended for handing in a fake COVID vaccination card.
We're all disappointed and how he handled that, and the organization's disappointed.
The high-profile incident raising questions about the prevalence of counterfeits. The Canadian Anti-Fraud Centre says between July and September, it received 18 reports relating to fake proof of vaccination, including websites selling counterfeit cards, though the centre says in reality the number is probably much higher.
To be using or accepting a piece of paper that has no QR code on it, that has no means of actual validation, then that is easy to falsify.
Ontario is rolling out its QR code proof of vaccination program, but is also holding on to its previous system.
Meaning businesses here must still accept a paper vaccine receipt without enhanced security.
We are going through that right now, but there will be a period of time where people can use both.
With that text-based system, experts say names and other data can easily be removed and changed. Forensic document examiner Shabnam Preet Kaur was able to make a real-looking fake in less than 5 minutes.
The government can add a watermark or maybe a colored background so that it becomes a little more difficult for people to manipulate it.
For Quebecers, QR codes have been the only accepted proof of vaccination for weeks. Alberta is following suit in November, but New Brunswick business owners must still accept documents including photos of immunization records. So the Sharks may not be alone. With a patchwork of vaccine passports, employers could face the prospect of proof of vaccination, maybe no proof at all. Thomas Dagg, CBC News, Toronto.
Japan is emerging as a success story in the battle against COVID-19. The infection rate has dropped to the lowest level in 16 months. Medical experts aren't sure what exactly accounts for the trend. But as Phoebe Amoroso tells us, a big vaccine push is believed to be a major factor.
Tokyo reported just 41 new COVID cases on Wednesday, and that brought the 7-day moving average down below 50 for the first time since June 2020. Looking at cases nationwide, Just under 400 were reported, and that's down from a peak of over 25,000 in the summer. So many are asking why such a decline, and there are several theories. Firstly, vaccines. Japan's vaccination program got off to a slow start, but really picked up pace, and now 68% of the population is fully vaccinated. Public health experts are also looking to seasonality. During the summer, when Japan experienced its peak, it's a time of holidays where people traditionally go back to visit their families, and there are many opportunities for group dining, and that's believed to have really increased the risk of infection. So now the government is faced with the task of trying to boost the economy whilst preventing a rebound in infections. Currently here in Tokyo, certified restaurants and bars are now allowed to serve alcohol until 8 p.m. and they must close by 9 p.m. But the government is now looking to lift these restrictions on Monday. They're also looking to experiment with vaccine passports. A trial is underway in Kyoto to allow people to go dining in larger groups, for example. Prime Minister Kishida has promised a stimulus package worth trillions of yen in order to try and boost the economy, but at the same time, he says he's preparing for a worst-case scenario, really trying to strengthen Japan's medical resources, secure more beds and more staff, and preparing for a hospitalization rate of 1.2 times the peak seen in the summer. At the end of this month, October the 31st, Japan will see a general election, and Prime Minister Kishida is making some very strong promises about bringing Japan out of the pandemic, because responding to the COVID-19 crisis is a top priority for the Japanese public. Phoebe Amoroso for CBC News, Tokyo.
A live look outside there. We had sun today, but that's going to turn into a chance of showers for tomorrow. So Nick Sirkovich will be here right after the break with more details on that. And then later in the program, a local barber is getting some global attention. So we're going to tell you what the buzz is all about. Stay with us. Nick Sirkovich is here now for a look at our weather forecast. Nick, we've had a few really nice days, but looks like we got a bit of a dip to look forward to now.
Yeah, well, back to reality, I suppose, as they say. Yeah, temperatures have been well above the seasonal mark. We are looking at a cool down, though, toward the end of the week. Now, to put things in perspective, for this time of year, typically we're looking at daytime highs in the area of about 14 degrees. That's the average for Windsor. Now, today, we've seen temperatures up to 21 degrees. We're sitting at 20 degrees right now. There's a look at the rest of southwestern Ontario. So very mild weather. Of course, that's been on the heels of some mild weather as well. But we've got some cooler weather moving in. We've also got some rain showers to talk about as well, and those move in later this evening. So rain showers coming across lower Michigan. What we're going to see, though, as we move through the next 24 is rain moving into southern Ontario. So there's a look at the bigger picture. Forecast-wise, overnight tonight, look for showers, and then tomorrow morning, again, it's really just sort of on and off showers. Likely to see some thunderstorms mixed in there as well. This takes us to tomorrow morning. We'll see that move across. The heaviest of the rain through the morning hours, then kind of clears out, and spotty showers into the afternoon as well across the region before this front sweeps through, and that's going to drag in some cooler temperatures and in fact take us from several degrees, we're talking about 7 degrees above seasonal, to a couple degrees below seasonal for Friday. Friday, generally a mix of sun and cloud here, but again, it's going to come with some cooler weather. Overnight tonight, we're looking at temperatures again above the seasonal mark, 13 to 15 degrees tomorrow. Highs, though, very similar because of that morning rain that's going to move through. 17 degrees down in Windsor, and again, a lot of the rainfall activity kind of coming through the morning, but it is going to sort of push out. And then on and off showers through the afternoon. Likely to see some thunderstorms in there as well. Gusty winds tomorrow, gusts to about 50 kilometers per hour, so a bit blustery. Now 17 turns to 11 on Friday with a mix of sun and cloud. The risk of a few showers on Saturday. And again, our average for this time of year, 14 degrees. So we go from 7 degrees above to a couple degrees below.
Yeah, time to bring out some of those jackets there, I guess.
Fall in Canada.
Exactly. Thanks for that, Nick.
You bet.
We turn now to Winnipeg, where a teacher at a high school has been placed on leave after using the N-word. The incident caused a stir in the classroom, which was caught on camera, and reignited a heated discussion about racism in schools. CBC's Jill Kubro has more on the incident and the calls for action.
The heated argument was captured on video and posted to Snapchat.
You are not allowed to sit in. No, you did not respect us. The minute you said the word, you did not respect us. The minute that word came out of your mouth, you did not respect us at all.
Parents Against Racism denounced the teacher's use of the N-word during the class discussion. The group called the use of the word dehumanizing to Black students. It formed last year after previous allegations of racism at the school. The group says the latest incident shows a culture of normalized racism. Blandine Tona is a member of Parents Against Racism. She calls the situation disheartening and says the division needs to do more.
Again, people need to know that racism didn't come because of people having intention of harming. It's coming because of people feeling privileged into doing things that at the end of the day are harming. So if you know that you can say things that may be harmful, you have to be literally listening and sensitive into how people are reacting to what you do. And I didn't see any of that in the attitude that was happening, and I was really surprised and disappointed.
Parents Against Racism is calling on the division to put clear anti-racism policies in place to address and prevent racism. They want an end to any racial insult in any context, and they want consequences for writing or uttering insults. The division responded in an email to CBC News. It says the school has more work to do. The division says it's meeting to discuss the incident and will be forming 4 advisory groups to come up with a concrete plan this fall. They say help is available to staff and students who need to talk. It's not known if the teacher is on paid or unpaid leave. Still, Parents Against Racism says they're not satisfied with the response and think it's reactionary. Jill Kubra, CBC News, Winnipeg.
When we come back, a Blenheim barber is getting some global attention. So we're going to bring you that story right after the break. Stay with us. Blenheim is buzzing. A master barber in the community is getting some global attention. He'll be featured on a television show called Global Barber. But the spotlight won't just shine on his barbering skills, but also on the town itself. Now that's a shortcut to some global attention.
It's been everything I wanted, and it's exploding. This is actually just going to be a weekend project that took off faster and more exponential than I assumed. Like, it's just been incredible. It's a dream come true. You can say that my brand represents traditional barbering with a mixture of men's contemporary hairstyling. So we're influenced from like maybe the 1940s and 50s conventional barbering from North America, but then we like to mix in the new age barbering coming from the UK and parts of Russia and other parts of Asia that makes it more unique.
Blenheim is an amazing community. It's an amazing community.
To get the chance to be seen and be heard and I guess recognized for being another barber with some talent, it just makes me feel really special that I got the chance to be on the show and just get myself out there. I think the barbershop is important to the town because I think every town needs a good barber. And I think it's more than just cutting hair. I think it's somewhere where guys can go to get groomed, but also have, an outlet, somewhere to talk to, almost like a barbershop confessional. I find it's almost like a gentleman's club. Guys have the opportunity to get groomed, see each other. There's some laughs, there's some bantering. It's just a good time, but I think that it makes a community special when they have a hub where they can go to. I mean, it's great to have Blenheim on the map. I guess a lot of people don't know where we are and that we even exist, so it gives it a chance for people to come see what this place is about.
Oh, amazing town. It's very clean, picturesque. You can see they have a lot of pride, a lot of honor in their history with all their signs up. Very, very picturesque. I didn't know what to expect when we rolled in, but I'd definitely move here for sure.
Always nice to see parts of our community profiled like that. That is it for CBC Windsor News. For news anytime, you can go to our website, cbc.ca/Windsor, and we're on social media as well. We're on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. The Rick Mercer Report is up next. Have a wonderful night.